We're going to move right ahead into our next topic area, which is incorporating fathers' voices into your programs. And this is an essential thing to do to be successful, and something that a lot of programs are still figuring out how to do effectively. And so we're lucky today to both listen to some fathers about what they think about the programs. And if you hear it from them, boy, does it make a difference. I'll share some information as well about what we've learned about incorporating father's voice. And then we'll have another panel of experts. So I'm excited for our final topic of today. And I invite you now to listen to some fathers.
I just completed my 12 sessions with the Fatherhood program, and I'm recording this video just to, inform whoever's listening how awesome the Fatherhood program was. A couple of things I got out from it was first off, the instructors, the facilitators from the program. They were just amazing, very genuine. Both of them, I was lucky enough to have two facilitators throughout my 12 weeks. So it took time for me to get comfortable, I'm not gonna lie, but definitely a plus. Also, just the guys within the group, very genuine as well, real. I felt comfortable sharing over the Zoom sessions, so definitely was a plus as well. What I gained for myself was awareness. Dads play a huge role in their families' lives. When dad comes home, has a bad day, everyone has a bad day, what usually is. So I learned awareness throughout it in areas that I can definitely recognize when I'm, just getting that awareness from others speaking within the group. So definitely was a plus for me. And then lastly was just the friendships, that we made throughout the session. I left the group encouraged, even asking coworkers at where I work at to take part in the fatherhood program, other dads. And, no one, if you're a dad, you're not exempt. If you're an uncle, you're not exempt. You're more, as long as you influence family members, your younger peers. It's just such a great program, and those are the two big things I valued about the program.
We just heard from a father about what he got out of the fatherhood program that he participated in. And hearing from him is so much more impactful than hearing from anyone who actually delivers the program or someone like me who studies the program. It's really listening to dads about what they think that they benefit from within the programs and how the programs might even be able to do more to meet their needs. But that's the thing that really creates strong programs. When we think about how fathers can help us to strengthen our programs, there's lots of ways, but there's two primary ways that many of our program providers have begun to focus on. One is using the father's testimonials, just like we heard before, to really articulate the value of the program. This is a great recruitment and retention tool to say, at the beginning, it took me a little bit of time to warm up to all of this, but it was worth it. And that is something that fathers can hear and trust in a way that if I were to tell them that as a program provider, they may not believe. And the other way is that we need to build in a systematic way, fathers' feedback to help us to improve the content and delivery of our services. It takes a commitment from your organization to actually do this and do it well, but it's so important, and your programs will actually benefit over the long haul. So I'm going to start just by talking about this idea of including fathers' testimonials in order to help you to get other fathers to participate in the program. One of the best recruitment strategies is word of mouth, but hearing it, what the fathers actually have to say about what they got out of the program, what some of their concerns were, what the best things about it are, those are things that other fathers tell us when they heard this father, talk about the program. That convinced them that maybe it would be good for them as well. And sometimes our graduates of our programs are ready to help in myriad ways, and asking them to make these sorts of video testimonials, to write things up that you can share via social media, to just talk with others who you might be recruiting. That's a valuable tool. And you can use these testimonials somewhat throughout the program too for retention purposes. When you kind of get to that point where fathers might feel like, I'm not sure if this is really for me and I should keep coming, having another father be able to talk about how he might have been in that same spot, but by continuing to come, he really did get the full value of the program. Those are ways that we can use our fathers. Now, we need to be very mindful that we're asking them to do a service for us in programs. And so thinking of ways to either compensate them, making sure that we clear things before we use their testimonials widely via video or social media. Those are all really important logistical things, but their voice is going to be the thing that makes the biggest difference. When we were talking with providers, we asked them to share the value of the program, and from their opinion, what is it about the program that really fathers should think about and be attracted to and want to participate in. And then we also asked them to talk to one of their dads and to have their dads tell us what the value of the program is from their perspective. And when you see these side by side, it was clear to everyone who was on this Zoom call that hearing from the dads gave us a much more real perspective. The provider did a great job. He said, we know that being a good parent is not something that's ingrained in everybody. It's just a set of skills that you can learn. And so that's kind of part of the real value of our group. I think what might be more powerful, though, than the educational component is that the program gives the members the opportunity to kind of bond over the experience of being a father with other men who are going through both similar and different things. And they're able to talk about those good things and those hard things about being a father. It's just much easier when you're with other fathers. So that's compelling, and he knows his program and why fathers participate. But when they went and asked the dads themselves, and this is what one of the fathers said, well, because of the program, I'm able to express myself, especially my emotions. I'm not judged, and I'm able to be open. Fathers should participate in this program because they can better themselves like I have. They can actually learn to be a better father and learn to deal with stuff they haven't dealt with yet. The program helps you. It doesn't brush you off, and it gives you a voice. And there's just something about that first person testimonial. You can see it's much more real and authentic. It's his lived experience. And that will be much more compelling to those who may be questioning why they should participate or remain in one of these programs. But the other way that we encourage folks to use Father's Voice is this continuous quality improvement. It's to systematically hear from fathers to strengthen the program, your program's content and delivery. And it is really important to understand whether your programs are really relevant and easily accessible. So is the content the things that fathers actually need? Are they understanding it? Is the delivery of that content something that is really relatable to them? Are you offering the program in a way that they feel welcome, that it's easy to get to? These are all the types of questions that strong programs are asking their fathers, because making some changes to meet these needs can go a long way in retaining folks in your program. So over the past several years, we have talked to different providers, both at our summits and our pilot learning collaborative that we conducted this past year, to better understand how our programs are incorporating fathers' feedback to tailor their programming to better address the father's needs. And what we found is that it's really important that when you're thinking about including father's feedback, that you're doing it on an ongoing basis and building it into your program. This isn't a one or and done sort of thing. After the program, I do some sort of survey and I think, oh, good, they liked it, and I move on. This is throughout the program, asking the dads at the beginning, what are they hoping to get out of this program? In the middle, checking in. How is it going? What are the things that are working? What are the challenges that you're having? And at the end, having discussions that really help them articulate what was it that worked for them? What are the things that could be improved? What would they like to see different altogether? And they have used a variety of methods, from surveys to individual discussions to groups. And they sometimes use that feedback and share it with fathers and ask them to respond to it as well. But it's important that we not spend the father's time asking them all this information if our programs are not willing to commit to actually changing based on this information. Now, we're using evidence-based programs in most of these sites. So it's not that you're necessarily going to change the program altogether, but is it really resonating? Is the content and the delivery of the content getting to dads in a way that they understand it? Are there things that they wish that you would cover that you're simply not covering in the curriculum that you're offering? Are there ways that you're providing your program, the meeting times or the length, in this case in virtual environment, the Zoom or Teams, that are working or that are not? So those are things that you have to be committed to making changes to, because no one likes to be asked for feedback if it's just going to go into a black hole. We really need to make sure that we're going to use that if we ask them to spend their time providing that. And again, we need to understand that when we're asking for that, it's to improve our programs, and we need to thank the fathers and recognize the contributions that they're making to the program, basically as consultants. Some programs are paying them stipends or gift cards to be able to provide this sort of ongoing feedback. Others are providing more basic sorts of supports like dinner or childcare, but it's recognizing and respecting the value that father's voice actually plays in improving the services within your program. So we're going to hear now from two providers who have been incorporating father's voice into their programs for quite some time, both Dr. Calvin Kelly from Child Inc. and Meliss Loyola from SJRC. And I'm excited to hear more from them about how they have included the father's voice into strengthening the services that they provide.
We are so grateful to have them joining us today in a conversation in this extremely important topic. And these folks have learned how to do this in a way that makes their program stronger, and hopefully they'll be able to provide you with some guidance and ideas about how you can better incorporate father's voice into your programs. Again, we encourage you to send questions via chat and join the conversation. Tell us what you're doing to provide father's voice in your programs. But I'm going to ask each of our panelists, Dr. Kelly and Meliss, to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their program and what they've done. And then we'll have a conversation. And again, we'll invite your questions and have them address those as well. So thank you very much for joining us today. I'm so grateful for you to be here and look forward to hearing what it is that you're going to be talking about. So thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. I can go ahead and okay.
No, thank you, Meliss. Yes, I'm sorry. I was not exactly sure who was going to go first, and I should have just called it out. So, Meliss, I would love for you to go. Thank you.
Yeah, so we have all our beautiful logos right up here. I work for SJRC Texas, and I'm a parent educator with our parenting and prevention program. Our program provides one-on-one parenting services with parents, so moms and dads, for one-on-one parenting services. And we also with that provide support groups and engagement opportunities so that parents can connect and build that connection with each other. In addition to that, SJRC Texas is a leader in offering residential care for foster youth. And we also have a child placement agency. So we do a number of different things, but we're very excited to be on the side of preventing child abuse by providing educational opportunities. That's kind of where our fatherhood initiative lies.
That's great. Thank you, Meliss. Dr. Kelly, can you tell us a little bit more about Child Inc.?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Cynthia. I'm excited to be here to talk about Child Inc. and what we do in terms of providing services to our fathers. For many people, they don't know that Child Inc. is the Head Start program for Travis County. So we provide Head Start services, educate kids starting from 0 to 5 years of age. But one of the things that we're very intentional about is making sure that not only are mothers fully engaged and a part of the educational process of their children, but we are extremely intentional about incorporating our father. So we have a program that starts with, and the reason why we say from 0 to 5 is because once we have a special program, I should say, for pregnant moms. So we make sure that the fathers are actively engaged in that parenting process while the mother is carrying the child in their womb. And then we want to continue that process while they're engaged. And once they enroll in our Head Start program throughout the time that they are prepared for school readiness. So we are excited about what we do and provide for our fathers. And if you're looking for a place to get your child connected and they're 0 to 5, call Child Inc., the Head Start program for Travis County.
Well, thank you for that. Really, the services that you provide to our families are just so important for them. But one of the reasons that they're so valuable to the families is that you've been listening to them for quite a while to make it so that you're offering what it is that they need. Dr. Kelly, you talked about the fact that you start early, even prenatally, and that you continue to engage the voice of fathers throughout. Let's be specific. Talk to me about how you actually go about, like, what is it that you actually do? Do you hold focus groups? Do you conduct surveys? Tell me about some of the specifics that you do, that you use to get them to share with you.
Cynthia, all of the above, but more importantly, one of the things that we learned is that we don't want to come to our fathers or our families as being the experts. We have the background and the book knowledge, we have the research that speaks to our parents, but the true experts are our parents, especially fathers. And so we have a steering committee that really engages all of our fathers. So Head Start has over 13 centers in the Travis County area. And the way so we have 2 fathers representing or serving on our committee that represents their respective Head Start program. And so as being a part of the steering committee, we really listen to and for our fathers to guide the process of what do our fathers want to talk about? What do they want to hear about? What do they want to have more information about? So our steering committee serves multiple purposes. One, we have Head Start being a federally funded program requires that we have what is called a policy council. Mm-hmm. For 50 years, Child Inc. has been the Head Start program as I said, for Travis County. And in that 50 years, we have probably had a total of 5 fathers on that policy council. So one of the things that the steering committee provides for our father is an opportunity to learn about Robert's rules with just men. It allows them to learn about leadership, how to serve on a committee, and to lead, because the policy council for Child Inc. are the decision makers of how do we spend our funds to support our families and our children. So we really want to incorporate that father's voice into what we do and how we do it.
Yeah, I mean, they're at a leadership level, which sends a different signal than if you are merely having them come in at a one-off here and there. Really being part of the policy team, the steering committee, that sends a different signal than it would if you were simply doing a survey at the end of the program, for instance. That in and of itself could be extremely valuable. And I know that you've probably done some of that, but I really appreciate you sharing more about this leadership role. Meliss, tell me more about how you guys, what are the specific strategies that you use to try to engage father's voice in both either recruiting or in the actual content and delivery of your programs?
Yeah, so I'm smiling and shaking my head, Calvin, because I used to work for the Head Start program, and when we started, father engagement is huge, and I love that program. I love it. So the agency that I work for was partners with the Head Start program in starting our fatherhood initiative, and so it was a huge role that the Head Start played in where we are today in the development of what we have. And we started off by, when I received this position, I was like, okay, I'm not a dad. Like, I cannot, I will say that I have a team of wonderful women, and being a woman-led fatherhood initiative was just not something that I was prepared to handle or do. And so we really needed fathers' voices. It's so important, especially because I can, as a mom, as a woman, I can pretend or guess at what I think fathers need, but it's just gonna be a guess. And so starting that out, our fatherhood initiative, we met with other fathers in our community that we felt like personally contacted, invited them to come brainstorm with us. Let's figure out what the needs of our community are, and listened and took notes and started following through. And it took several brainstorms of visiting with fathers to help us understand the true needs of what was going on in our community. And from that point was, developing a community-based survey so that we could figure out, hearing one father's voice is important, hearing two fathers' voices is important, but really we need more fathers in our community and service providers. So also on the service side, we do have challenges of working with fathers. Engaging with fathers was very important. So to make this successful, we absolutely needed, the survey that we created was to identify what those barriers were, and then figure out from those barriers what the needs of our community was. And so that was a big starting point, right? We said feedback survey, but really this was a community-based survey. And it got that response from fathers, from individuals, business owners, service providers, nonprofits, and for-profits, because we really wanted to get a full scope of what was going on. And from that was born our Fatherhood Initiative, where we continue to host meetings around topics that are from this barrier survey that we did. And then we just keep listening and we keep delivering on the services that they're needing.
Yeah. I'd love for you both to share what some of the needs are that you've heard. And are they different from what you would have heard if you had just spoken to mothers? As you said, Meliss, it's hard sometimes to engage fathers. Some folks are very successful at it, others struggle. But tell me what it is that they said that they need, and was there anything that's unique for fathers as compared to the needs of other family members? And Dr. Kelly, I'd love to hear what you guys learned from fathers sitting on your policy or steering committee.
One of the most important things that came out of our steering committee, and one of the probably by far the most surprising was our fathers saying that they wanted to be more attuned to their social emotional learning. That was huge for us because that's something when you think about social emotional development and when you think about really that type of mental acuity that our fathers were asking about, that was absolutely surprising and shocking for us. Also, one of the things that we learned that as evidence as it relates to COVID was that a lot of our fathers weren't tech savvy. So understand technology better. When all of our programs went online and went through, these virtual platforms, many of our fathers were not competent in terms of participating in that. So we had to do seminars, workshops to bring them up to speed. And so out of that was born our Microsoft certification program that will be launching this fall. So we're really excited because this is an opportunity. And that goes back to, and so I'm all over the place, Cynthia, so bear with me here.
Oh, please.
Goes to the point of employable skills. Many of our fathers also wanted employable skills. One of the ways that we're going to help them to get employable skills is through this Microsoft certification. So not only will they be learning the hard skills of learning the technology, but we're also introducing them to those soft skills, how to interact, how to engage, and how to be in touch and attuned to their own emotional and social development. So those things were absolutely critical and huge to what COVID taught us, as well as listening to our fathers about what their needs were post-COVID.
Thank you for that. Meliss, what about you? You guys talked to everyone and it helped spur a whole new initiative. What did you hear from the community about what the needs of fathers really were?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I would probably say about 4 things that were really, really important were the availability of legal resources. A lot of times we're working with fathers who are both custodial and non-custodial. And so what does that transition look like for dad? Where can he get resources and have those connections, right? So we want to be a landing place for fathers to be comfortable coming and asking, where can we get these resources in our community? What's a good referral? A trustworthy one, because legal resources are expensive. And for fathers, and there's several layers of paternity. So like, even as as a mother, do I know all of my rights as a mother? As a father, having these layers of definitions of paternity, what are my rights as a father, and like how can I continue that relationship with my child through those legal resources? So legal resources was one of them. Mental health services for specifically for dad, that's huge, right? Especially during COVID. I will say that I tried to partner with several agencies that unfortunately didn't go through, but I'm very excited after like 6 months of like really trying and searching for, again, a father to lead a free and open support group is finally going to happen for us, and being able to launch that this June in honor of Father's Day. We're very excited about that.
That's great.
Yeah, and it was just because we have in general programs for parents, but dad specifically was requesting, I need support for me, like dads with other children, and having that availability, something that's flexible and something that is efficient for my pocketbook, right? Because like these things are very expensive resources. And in our community specifically, there were a lot of resources for mom, rightfully so. We go through a lot with childbirth and being mostly the primary caregiver, but that doesn't mean that dad goes without those same stresses and the same not the same, but stresses and hardship. It is for every parent, but there just wasn't a lot of those services for dad in our community. So mental health resources. There was a big question on just education. What I need to learn, what is my child going through? What are some topics? Like maybe it's just the know-how. Speaking as a mom, we tend to do that nurturing caregiving as growing up, and fathers treat their sons differently than they treat their daughters, and just that individual difference makes an impact on like, how do I learn how to be a dad? Either that's from my father, like our personal experiences, or by learning from somewhere, and the learning from somewhere has been taken out of school. So now even dads who have gone through the school system are not getting any kind of parenting or child-based education anymore about child rearing, that at least used to be in the school if they were not getting it at home. So providing educational opportunities, which we do through our parenting and prevention program. And then just the engagement opportunity. So dads were saying, I'll just, you know, one of the dads who came and still participates in our program says, I was going to school events and I was a dad in a sea of moms. I was thinking like, what? You know, yeah, we go like, I don't know if you're a mother, Cynthia, but like we go to these events and there are people that look like us, and it's easy for us to connect. And he said, you know, I'm a married man. I want to be here for my child, but no one even would talk to me. Like I wanted to connect with someone, and like females were not connecting with him, but there wasn't another dad for him to like rub up on and be like, hey bud, how's it going? How's your dad life? That wasn't even, you know, a possibility for him. So like, that was like a big thing. Like, it's not just, we don't want this superficial donuts with dad experience. We really want opportunities for engagement so that we can be around other dads doing similar things, and out of that be born a connection. And so that's, you know, something that we do focus a lot on, is providing those engagement opportunities. We recently did a father-child fishing experience, and we just, as a program of women, just stood there handing out goodie bags, but let dads have the space and the opportunity to fish with children alongside other dads and their children. And some came with their buddy dad, and some made connections while they were there. And we really didn't have to do very much but provide that opportunity. So those 4 things, like we really do, those are the things that the needs that came out of the research that we did.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I could comment a lot on all of those. The child development piece is so interesting to hear you talk about, especially because one of your major goals is to prevent child abuse. And we know that when parents, and especially fathers, have a much better understanding of why their children are upset, or what's natural for a 2-year-old, how, you know, they should respond and so forth, that can sometimes limit harsh parenting and extreme frustration. So really, really great to hear that. So Calvin, one of the things that you mentioned, and I just think is so important for folks to hear, is that if you're gonna ask for their opinion, you're gonna have to take it seriously and maybe change some of the things that you're doing. Can you talk about that a little bit more, about how it needs to be really intentional, that it's not superficial asking, it really is asking and then maybe responding, and how have you managed to do that well? And can you provide some examples of how you've changed based on this feedback that you've gotten?
Absolutely. You know, one of the, just listening to Meliss, just talking about the wonderful programs, it really complements what we do with our fathers. The steering committee is the voice for our fathers. It's the opportunity for us for Child Inc. as an agency to really to put their resources behind what our fathers are saying their needs are. And believe it or not, and I, of course, for those of us who are doing the work, we believe it. Much of what they're asking for, there is data, there is research that supports that this is something that is universal to all of our fathers. This is what they're asking for. So out of those voices have come a number of platforms that we've created. Child Inc. has been, since its birth, has been doing what is called the Dad Show. The Dad Show is an opportunity. It's on KAZI, shameless plug here, KAZI 88.7 FM from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. every Tuesday. That's an opportunity for our dads to get on the show to talk about a myriad of issues that fathers are experiencing. And what they realized and began to understand is that when you think about your issues, you often think of them in isolation. But callers are calling in and you begin to realize, oh my God, there are other men, there are other dads, fathers, uncles, grandfathers that are experiencing some of the same issues and challenges that we're experiencing. Our fathers came together a year prior to COVID, and said, we want to have a father-daughter Valentine dance. Well, lo and behold, we put that on. And you talk about fathers showing up and really being engaged with their daughters. That was just absolutely incredible. Our steering committee came up with the fact that many of our fathers said, we don't have time, we don't make the time to read to our children once we get home. We started a father reading program. This is what they came up with and said, we want to read to our children, not only to our children, we'd like to read to the entire class. Our fathers came together and selected books that the agency provided that they're reading to all of our classes. So we have a number of things that our fathers have said, this is what we want to do. We are being very intentional with our resources and making sure those things take place. During basketball season, during football season, we have what is called game night. Game night is not only an opportunity for fathers to come together and to have an opportunity to commence and to talk about the issues and challenges, but we take the topics that they say they want additional training on, and we use the halftime as an opportunity to bring in experts to talk about those issues and topics that they say they want to learn more about. So we're very intentional about making sure that we listen, but I'm not only listening, to your point, Cynthia, we deliver.
Yeah. It must make such a difference for them to, build trust with you that you have heard them and delivered. Meliss, what about with you guys? I know that you did extensive research to figure out what their needs were. Do you have any mechanisms to kind of have ongoing input as to how you're meeting their needs and demonstrating that you're listening to them?
Yes, absolutely. So in our one-on-one parenting services that we do provide, we follow the Parents as Teachers program, and there's a lot of reflective learning and discussion opportunities, before we present a topic around, development-centered parenting or family well-being. Like there's a lot of, discussion on or reflective opportunity for dad to talk about like his past experiences or what his views are on certain things. And so that's a constant, right? And the thing that we're doing all the time. But when we're in our fatherhood initiative meetings, in our I just keep thinking about our engagement events, we like to follow up with that, dreaded, give us your feedback. But like you're saying, if we're not doing that, then we're not hearing about their experience, and the biggest thing, I think we've talked about this a lot, like the biggest thing is like listening. Like sometimes if we don't, like you're talking, Dr. Kelly, and I'm writing a note down, like, I love the dad show. And like, you like just how you said, like, we heard that you want to learn more about this, and we feel like this is a good delivery on what you're interested in. And so that's, again, very, very important to us, because we have to hear what dad has to say. And these, the dads that are coming to our fatherhood initiative meetings are, again, are just individuals who care. I'm a dad, I want to get connected. But then there's also service leaders. Like we have a dad who runs our Parks and Rec department, and we have an individual who comes in from our public library, and just different facets of like where they're coming at, even with work. And it's really nice to have that everybody brings something different to the table. Like we might all hear that this is a need, and I take that need and can bring it back to our fatherhood initiative group and find the support that we need, because SJRC Texas cannot do everything by ourselves, right? That's why we have all of this, our community coming together for this purpose, because I might not be able to solve the problem of connecting with other dads on my own, but I have a dad who wants to put on a Science of Being Dad event to talk about issues that are going on, so that we can all like bring down, be vulnerable in a healthy space with other dads. I can't do that by myself. It takes his heart and his need and him wanting to come and make that difference. I couldn't do it by myself. Like we
Yep.
just can't. And so we really lean on our community support and gather that feedback and respond and follow through. Like that is a very big thing with any program.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so you guys certainly have modified or even just really created new programs based on fathers' input. Tell me how, if you do, how you use dads to help you to recruit new folks into your program. We heard a gentleman share with us the value of the program. I know there's a lot of folks out there who use fathers' testimonials as a way to try to recruit new folks into the program. Have you used these strategies at all, and what have you found to be successful?
Go ahead.
No. Go for it, Meliss. You start.
Yeah, that question makes me super excited because we do every year. So for the past few years, we've done a fatherhood storytelling experience through social media for that specific purpose, right? We just ask dads that we know that are in our program, in our community, tell us something about your fatherhood journey. If it's something hard that you want to share, or just about how much you love your kids, or what do you find helpful for being a father? Because again, I'll hopefully be able to share a link to this video where you could actually hear from fathers that we've collected these stories from, and hearing from him again takes you out of the isolation that Dr. Kelly was talking about. We're not experiencing these things. They're not unique to us. There are others around us. And so we share that with, on our social media and highlight these people and their stories, right? They're coming to us with stories and their experience that they're wanting to share, because people connect with other people and dads want to connect with other dads. And so we really love doing that and, sharing their story that way. But really, again, with us, it's let's highlight our participants and what they're doing and help them share. And I can't believe how much we've grown and how much, really, for lack of better terms, attention our program is getting because we're featuring these fathers.
Yeah. Yeah. And through your social media accounts primarily, but it sounds that's fantastic. Dr. Kelly, what about with your childing program? Do you use this as a recruiting tool in any way?
Absolutely. We love going and finding our alums, especially our dads that graduated the Head Start program, and having them to come out and talk about their current story. They can talk and share their experience of how Head Start literally gave them a head start to get to where they are. But when they come and they talk about where they are and how this was such an instrumental part of their growth and their development, it is just absolutely incredible. And again, we use the Dad Show as that launching platform to allow them to come on and to share their stories of success and how the Head Start program really and truly launched them. And then we bring in our current fathers, and they talk about the experience that they're having and that they're having with their children as a part of our recruitment. And again, it's nothing like a father talking to another father about what their experiences is and are, to engage other fathers to say, I can identify with that because I've had some of those same challenges. I don't know about how to get connected to this educational resource. And to Meliss's point, it's nice knowing that you won't be the only father in the room amongst a group of women. So it's encouraging that our fathers know that they have a brotherhood and that they can come together and they can be supportive of each other.
Yeah. So you guys have been doing this for quite a while, and you're doing it very successfully. There's a lot of folks out there who wouldn't necessarily know where to begin. How do you start doing this in an authentic, intentional way? How do you build up to a place where you can really have folks sharing with you, listen and act? Can you talk about how to get started in this and what tips you might give to a provider who hasn't really understood how to do this quite yet? And either one can begin, but Meliss, do you want to give some suggestions about how do you get started?
Absolutely. I would probably say the easiest thing to do to start, right? We all serve, I'm going to guess a lot of people who are watching today are service providers. And
Mhm.
I don't know if we've taken a poll, but majority of us in the social service field are women. And so we probably are connecting with a dad or a father figure or talking about non-custodial dad in the services that we're providing, whether he's custodial or non-custodial. So the biggest thing is first is just to listen, like listen to the dads who are already in your programs, like listen to the people you're already serving, and then move on from that point. Like first start by listening, and then if you're wanting to start a fatherhood program or start, that's your landing point. It does take a lot of work to try to figure out what that looks like for your program, what you're trying to create for your community, or everybody's needs are different. And I think that's why we took the direction that we did was, we have to find out what our needs are. And if you're already connected with fathers who are involved, start
Mhm.
there. Like that would be my recommendation, is start with the ones you're already making an impact with so that you can grow that to whatever it is that you're wanting to accomplish. Ours turned out to be like we want to provide a lifelong bond, and we do that through education, and we do that through providing opportunities for engagement.
Yeah. So just to push on that for 1 minute, what do you ask them? So they're there with you, you have them. Do you give them a piece of paper and ask them to write down, answer questions? Do you just have someone interview them? How formal do you need it to be? How informal can it be? How do you share that information back with your team? I know these probably sound like pretty basic questions for folks who have been doing it a lot, but as we get started, some of this is kind of essential to just maybe give those folks that extra support that they need to take that risk and reach out. So what do you ask them? How do you do it?
Well, depending on what it is that your program is wanting to accomplish, like have a personal invitation for a conversation, right? People and moms and dads alike get nervous when we're in a big formal setting like this one, right? My heart is racing and I'm nervous about saying the wrong thing, but I know that maybe you are too. Just understand that we're just having a conversation. We want to talk about, we want to enhance the way we're meeting our father's needs, and we are wanting to do a little bit of research to figure out what those are. Can you talk to us about the needs of what you're going through? I know that the Head Start program does this, but this is something we also implement in our program, is finding out what our parents are interested in, finding out what our parents are needing. And that a lot of times comes through our parenting programs in the sessions that we're in. We're trained to be asking these questions so that we can uncover the needs of a family, because if we're not asking those questions, then we might never find out what they're going through. And so our curriculum is not one that is a surface level curriculum. Like parenting is very important, and parenting is a very sensitive topic. And when you're starting out with those, we might have to start out by saying, like, this program is going to ask hard questions, and we are going to dig deep to find out like how to best serve you. And we do that by asking difficult questions, and we have to do our parenting survey that really helps uncover a lot of like where we are with parenting and what we do know, what we don't know about child development. And those are some behind the scenes things, right? We do that through our enrollment. We do relationship assessments. We do social emotional screens for parents and for children. And so that's all a part of a lot of the feedback that we can get just by doing an assessment, so that we can determine the health of the family, but then furthering that conversation with dad to see what his needs are, because otherwise, if we don't ask the questions, then we won't know the answers.
Yeah. So a combination of formal assessments that you actually use to have a conversation, but really inviting them to share So Dr. Kelly, what about you? What's your advice for folks of how they could get started, kind of some nuts and bolts, and what can you actually do to take that first step?
Meliss did an excellent job. The piece that I'm going to add is also do an environmental scan. Really sure that you provide an environment that is open and welcoming to dads. And so that has got to be central to the work of really engaging and inviting fathers in to be a part of your program. And again, we learned that from our fathers because we had the curriculum, we have all of the things, and dads came in and said the environment is not welcoming, it's not something that fathers are going to want to be a part of. So they really took the time to teach us our setting, to provide a setting that was open and available to dads. And that could be something like putting a big screen television in the room if you can afford to do so. Because dads want to know that if I'm coming in here and I want to be able to sit here and watch a game, I want to be able to do so. We also reached out to our partners. We have a series that happens monthly called the Barbershop. Most fathers are clearly aware of what the Barbershop does. The Barbershop for men is a space and a place that's very safe for us to go into and to have real topics. So another way we engage our fathers is we have this monthly series called the Barbershop, where fathers can come together virtually right now and talk about real issues. And again, the birth of that and the outgrowth of that is fathers reaching out to other fathers and saying, hey, we got this series going on. Come join us. Come hear about it. Come talk about it. And before you know it, those fathers are saying, hey, I know someone that has a child from 0 to 5. We want to get them connected to Head Start. They meet the requirements. They're eligible. And so we want to get them connected. So do an environmental scan is the piece that I just want to add to what Meliss has already so eloquently put out there.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a technical term, environmental scan, but you're doing it by really just being there with them and engaging with them. And I really appreciate how authentic and simple that you both make it sound. And I realize it's taken a lot of time to build that trust. But asking questions really, and then delivering on that input, I'm sure really does help you to build that trust. We just have about a minute left. And so I'd like to give each of you 30 seconds to tell us kind of what is that one thing that you would say to folks who are wanting to incorporate father's voice, either how they can do it, how they should use it, or why it's so valuable. But I'll let you each close. And we'll start with Meliss, and then we'll go to Dr. Kelly.
Thank you, Cynthia. So I would love to leave just simply listen and follow through on what the dads in your community are asking from you, fathers and father figures, wanting to be inclusive of that, but also like being bold for the needs of dad is going to help you get these things accomplished.
I like that, being bold for the needs of dads. Dr.
My add-on would be just be intentional. If you want fathers to be involved, reach out to fathers, be intentional about engaging them, be intentional about making sure their voices are included in the overall process.
Well, thank you both, really. Thank you for what you do for our fathers and families. Thank you for sharing everything that you have with folks today. I know that this is one of the most important things we can do as we try to serve fathers and families, is to listen and act on what it is that they need, and to have them feel engaged, and rather than providing to, but serving with them. So thank you both so much. And I hope that everyone who is watching joins me in thanking our guests for sharing all that they are doing to incorporate father's voice. We're going to watch a quick video now of a father talking about the value of a fatherhood program that he was engaged with. And again, it's just to highlight how moving and impactful it can be to actually hear from the fathers themselves about what these programs mean to them.
No, it's a wonderful program. Like I needed this program like in my life for me, and I hope like other people, single dads, can enjoy this program to learn and to get a little help,
And just knowing that when we have a class, it stays in the class, and we're able to open up. We can trust our mentors or the other men that are in there, and it helped me to understand that we're not alone. We're in it together. And just the way they talk to you, they encourage you. They help you to understand and know that we do matter, and that's something that we as men don't really have. It's an encouragement. To have mentors that that we know that we can trust them and they're there for us. This program has helped me to know and understand that it's equal. It's both parents. Jobs to encourage their kids or family. And it just makes it way better. We communicate more with each other, encourage each other, love on each other, and just for me to know that it's okay to do that.
Yeah, like always, this program is very positive, so it's gonna help throughout your life in a positive way.
Yeah, they teach you how to communicate and how to say it, what to say, even to the children or your spouse or ex-spouse. So communication is the key, and how to handle difficult moments in anybody's life. This program actually helps us tap into our emotions, and actually it kind of frees us to actually express ourselves and lets us feel, because society kind of keeps us in a box, and we're not supposed to feel. We're supposed to be hard and just,
So it may be more informative to my child. And if I had this program 23 years ago, I would be so blessed right now.
I think this program should be mandatory for people out of prison, release from prison, because it gives us the structure to treat women, to treat kids, to treat ourselves, what to look forward to. And not only that, it gives us a sense of belief that we can do it. Like, this program don't pay us. We're not getting none out. We outside of what we installing ourselves for the community, but it helped me a lot. It helped me become a man, helped me respect my body, and just what friends to have, what people to hang around. So by me being here, I got my forklift license. Just graduated truck driving school.
I really enjoyed the way it was, the approach of it. It wasn't more like, this is what a good dad looks like. It was more like, think about your kids, how they would feel, and just more of a reflective kind of program rather than like a dictator kind of program, like making you feel like maybe inadequate. And I really liked that they didn't make you feel like an inadequate.
I wish any father or any mother that wants to join the program would come in and attend. There's always room for improvement with anybody. Learning, different skills on disciplining. We're just talking with co-parenting. I don't know how to say it. We've covered every aspect. We cover every aspect. If we got somebody that comes in, they feeling down, it's our duty to bring them up, and that's what we do. And that's what that program's all about. And that's what it does.
Yeah.
Is to make that father feel like he's fathering and fathering right.
It sums up all that you do for these dads and other family members. It's such important work. And I'm so thrilled that so many of you joined us today to just begin this conversation. We're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to talk about co-parenting, because we know that that is such a key aspect to both parents, overall well-being, but also it's the primary predictor of whether children will be involved with their father or not. And so this is a topic that we will again go into great depth in. We'll have our keynote speaker, Dr. James McHale, and a wonderful panel to also share with you what they've been doing to try to incorporate co-parenting and improve that in their programs. And we'll hear from fathers as well. Tomorrow, you'll also have an opportunity to join other program providers on some of the topics that you choose to be able to engage more in discussion. So thank you so much to all of our panelists today, to our wonderful keynote speaker, Joe Jones. Thank you to all of you for your participation in the chat and your engagement. And just thank you for showing up and for the work that you do. As we leave today, I invite you to go to our Fatherhood Resource Hub, which provides you a wealth of information on how to better serve fathers through programs, the needs of dads, kind of all the information that folks have shared here, in addition to some videos of folks who are doing an amazing job serving fathers and families, and links to other wonderful resource sites that are also providing a ton of information on serving fathers. This is certainly a community effort, and there's not one group that can do it all. And we really appreciate you joining us today. So I wish you a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you here tomorrow, same link, same time. And I hope that you have a great rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.